Yep. Joining us right now is Florida Congressman, House Judiciary, Veterans Affairs, and House Oversight and Reform Committee member Greg Steube. And Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. So what is going on with this hearing? I mean, what are we learning from Cory Lewandowski being up there, being questioned? And what are we going to hear from Michael Horowitz?
Well, first of all, we didn't learn anything that we didn't already know,
right.
and many of us on the Republican side made a point of saying, why are we going through this exercise? Mueller spent 22 months investigating this collusion Russia conspiracy theory and found that there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. So now we're going to bring in, the Democrats are going to bring in Cory Lewandowski, who was his campaign manager during that time, because the Democrats, all they can talk about is impeachment. That's their policy perspective right now, and they're the party of impeachment. So I don't think we're going to. I'm looking forward to the IG's report coming out. I've been told that it's complete, that the Justice Department is going through it to learn what needs to be redacted from a classified standpoint.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get that report very soon.
Okay,
and I think the American people are owed that. What are you going to do about it? Your colleagues on the left are probably just going to ignore the report. I mean, what are you going to do about it? We know the abuse that has taken place here. We've got the FISA documents investigation that's ongoing. GOP lawmakers are waiting on that DOJ Inspector General report on the origins of the Russia investigation, but we pretty much know what it's going to say. Chairman Lindsey Graham weighed in on it on Hannity last night. Listen to what he said.
Here's what I want you to know. Every American should be concerned about the fact that the Department of Justice and the FBI knew that the source of the document had a bias, and they did nothing to ensure the document was reliable. It's not reliable to this day. And if the court doesn't clear this up and take corrective action, then why do you expect people in the future to be deterred? If somebody doesn't go to jail and if the court doesn't hold those who lied to the court accountable, then we will have missed a great opportunity to restore the rule of law.
Well, and restore truth. I mean, the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, will testify at a hearing on Capitol Hill today. What are we going to learn? Is he going to be asked about the FISA failures and the fraud committed in the FISA court, like not including exculpatory evidence to the FISA court with that dossier?
I'm sure Republicans will ask him that, but because the document and the investigation is not public yet, we probably won't learn the details of that, and he'll probably refrain from getting into the details of that until the report is public. But thank God for AG Barr and that AG Barr is in the Justice Department, because if there were crimes committed, I feel very strongly that he's going to prosecute those crimes. And I think the American people deserve to see what truly happened here. What precipitated all of this was just a narrative by the Democrats from a FISA abuse of a phony dossier, and that's where we got to where we went today. Yeah,
once again, Hillary Clinton and the Clinton machine running the world, Governor. I mean, it was her that was actually colluding with the Russians. She paid for the dossier.
She did, absolutely.
Congressman, at some point, I mean, we all want to believe, this is Mike Huckabee, and I think we all want to believe that this is going to get sorted out. And there's going to be some accountability on the part of the people in the Obama administration who were actually in power at the time when the Russian interference was going on. Donald Trump was a candidate. He was a private citizen. So why are we asking him to be accountable for something when he was not in government and the people who were in government are basically getting off the hook? Do you have any hope and confidence we'll get to the right people and hold them accountable?
And that's a great point, and that was brought up in the hearing yesterday by Republicans. Was the Trump campaign ever advised of the fact that the Obama administration knew that Russians were trying to meddle in the campaign? They knew. And you can't help but think that all the way up to the top of the president knew that this was going on, and they failed to advise the Trump campaign that this type of thing was going on, and these bad actors were out there trying to influence it. And it's because they wanted to set this whole thing up and put it in a perspective. If Trump won, they could investigate him and create this whole collusion narrative that he was colluding with the Russian government, and he was not. So I'm hopeful that AG Barr is going to bring these people to justice if there were crimes that were committed. In terms of casting, though, this Democrat-controlled committee, first it was Bob Mueller, disaster, that didn't deliver the results, and then they bring you think you're going to get one over on Cory Lewandowski? He's a pit bull.
and he kind of raked you. I mean, he kind of dragged you over the carpet, so to speak.
I think he did a great job and responded to Democratic. You know, the Democrats were just trying to tee him up on things he knew they were going to try to tee him up on, and he responded accordingly. Look, after 22 months of investigation, there was no conspiring with the Russian government, and that was a fact.
Yeah.
Congressman, you go out in the public every week, you talk to your constituents. How many of your constituents come up to you and say, Congressman, I'm really concerned about Donald Trump colluding with the Russians, Donald Trump somehow making a disaster out of racism? I mean, I'm just curious, because you talk to your constituents. How often does that come up from the actual voters in your district?
I talked about that yesterday, and we just got back from our 6-week break over the August recess.
Right.
And I was out in my district many times, all over my district. I have a very large district in the state of Florida, and not a single Floridian, even Democrats, not even a single Democrat, came up to me and talked to me about impeaching the president. And so it's not on the minds of Floridians. It's not on the minds of Americans. Americans want us up here solving real issues like the crisis on our border, solving the prescription drug pricing, solving real issues that are affecting their lives. They could care less about this impeachment narrative because they know it's false.
Well,
Yeah,
conservatives, though, they're mad about the debt and the deficit. I will tell you that. I've
Absolutely.
spent a lot of time down in my hometown in the district that I grew up in, which is blue and red, and everybody's very, very concerned about that. Governor.
Well, no, but let me tell you what. I think that they may be upset about that, but they know that the Republicans can't fix it by themselves as long as you got Democrats running the House, where spending bills start. You can't blame Republicans for all of that. But the one thing I think is happening, and we saw it yesterday, the Democrats are fishing in the Dead Sea. I mean, they're chartering boats to go fishing in the Dead Sea. There's nothing there, and they're going to come up empty. And I think it's God's gift to President Trump for the re-election next year.
Yeah, and then there's all these tax plans on the left. Congressman, what are you seeing in terms of people moving to Florida? I mean, this week we had Carl Icahn announce that he's moving his hedge fund from New York to Florida. These tax plans on the left are only going to get worse in terms of if Elizabeth Warren gets in or Bernie Sanders want to raise taxes.
Yeah, 1,000 people a day move to Florida. We don't have an income tax in Florida, and that's why there's a lot of people up north that move down, not just for the weather, but for our political climate and our economic climate. Florida's a great place to not just retire, but to start your business and to reside. So you'll continue to see people move here. And I think we pick up a couple congressional seats in this next census because of all the people moving to Florida.
All right, Congressman, good to see you.
Except they're liberal and they're going to vote blue.
Well, that's
potentially.
I don't know. I think there's some Midwesterners that come down here that are voting Republican.
And try to push for different policy, like what we're seeing a little in Texas?
Not on my side of the state. The
Okay.
people moving to my side of the state are Midwesterners that are conservative.
All right, great. Congressman, good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Greg
Yeah.
Steube there.